Alright everyone, happy Friday. I'm here to give you an update on what's going on out there in the weather community. As you can see here from our pattern, up to about the July 26th area, we're going to be seeing some rain that will be catching on across the United States. We also have some extreme heat that we have to talk about today's video. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more weather updates just like this, and let's get right into it. So this is our GFS model, our 06Z run, showing us we're going to be having rain mainly across the areas of the south. It's mainly going to be, as you can see, into this area right here, really up into the mid-Atlantic, New England. This whole eastern side of the United States is going to continuously have rain, and that's the wet weather pattern we're walking into. Also, we're walking into an area of maybe even some heat that will be opening back up for areas of the northern part of the country. As we look here from our 06Z run in the year, let's actually use the OOZ. That'll give us more hours just to give a general look. And if we look at our OOZ run, we're just going to be seeing once again that wet weather that will be popping up for the eastern United States, mainly along Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, the Carolinas, into Tennessee, Kentucky. Tennessee actually having those flood watches in effect right now. We'll get into that in just a second. But as you can see, we're going to have the wet weather pattern in sort of the European and the GFS, and I don't think that this is honestly reminding me of like a nor'easter situation, not necessarily a nor'easter because we don't have the snow, but as you can see, it's kind of a low pressure. As you can see there on both the European and the GFS model, and these are not the latest ones, but I'm just giving you an idea of it. We're getting that low pressure move up. Now, it very well could be a tropical system, but it doesn't seem to me yet, at least, that those are the tropical characteristics. It just looks like we're just going to have a storm system move out. Just have a well-defined showers and thunderstorms organized, move up to the New England, head out to the ocean. So otherwise, a wet weather pattern, specifically, like I said, across the, really, if you get into this area, look at Georgia and the Carolinas. Rain is just always filling up in that specific spot, and that's honestly what we need with that extreme heat, especially with the extreme heat watches and heat advisories that are going on along those coastal areas of the Carolinas. Even that heat getting down into areas of Florida that I did not circle in there. So really, this whole entire area right there, I still missed Miami in there, but you get the point of it. Those areas like right into there having those extreme heat. So heat advisories along the coast. So the more to the coastal areas you get, the more hot it seems to get. As you get into Florida, heat advisories are extended all the way down. I think the only areas that don't have heat advisories in Florida, if I'm not mistaken, is the Monroe County areas of Key West. The Florida Keys are the only ones that are not under that, but I can go check that in a second. But let's look and see what the Storm Prediction Center has for us now, because we have some, I think we had some updates for today, as we have the slight risk, got a broader area to look at now. And here is a look at our slight risk. We have west of Liberal, we're having that slight risk, as well as into Springfield. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if you haven't seen that video yesterday, go watch it. But I think in this specific area right here, I think it's been extended out. The slight risk has been extended a bit, if I'm not mistaken. But that is going to be our severe weather outlook for today. And now let's just look at our tornado threat. Kansas City into St. Louis, you have that 2%, so that extends out that far. Now the wind threat, mainly going to be along the same areas that are under the categorical areas. The hail threat, not going to be in the southeast and mid-Atlantic areas, but you are going to still be dealing with it in Garden City, Liberal, and Springfield. So that's something to look out for. As we get into our Day 2 outlook, look at our Day 2, which is tomorrow. Slight risk, mainly along Memphis, Tennessee. So we do have the outlook updated for us here. Like we can see what's really going on now in this Day 2 outlook. So this is going to be tomorrow for your Saturday. Look at to Memphis all the way to Chattanooga, Little Rock. You're under the slight risk. If you are in the marginal risk, you're in areas of Oklahoma City, Wichita Falls, just north of that. Woodward, into Charlotte, into Savannah, Tallahassee, mainly a whole bunch of major cities here, especially along the I-40 corridor as you get into areas like this. So this whole entire area across the eastern United States, central part of the country, the mid-Atlantic, into almost areas of New England, you need to watch out. As far as the rest of part of the country, showers and thunderstorms mainly across the eastern parts of the United States, and that extends a while out. And let's not forget that marginal risk down there into areas areas of southeastern Arizona. So if you are in those areas, make sure that you have a way to get those weather alerts. For tomorrow, tornado risk as of right now is less than 2% in all areas. That wind threat, here goes the wind threat here. Down here, southeastern Arizona, areas of Oklahoma City, you're in the dashed lines, as well as Memphis, Tennessee, so eastern areas of Oklahoma City. If you're in Tulsa, you have dashed lines there as well. So we also have a 15% chance of that wind threat that's going on, as well as the wind threat extending down to Jacksonville, all the way up going towards the Washington-Baltimore region. So that's something you need to watch out for there. As we get into our hail threat, our hail threat going to be mainly organized across Oklahoma City and Tulsa. The rest of the part of the country, not really. So the hail threat is not going to be packing a punch as much tomorrow, but the wind threat is something that we're going to have to watch out for. As we get into our Day 3 outlook, which is going to be on our Sunday, we're going to have a marginal right now, as of right now, for areas along the southeastern sections of the United States. Is going to be Mississippi and Georgia, into portions of the Carolinas, so Charlotte, Columbia, Augusta, Atlanta, Birmingham, those familiar cities, as well as we're getting into some areas of Arizona. Marginal risk is now extending out, and then you have showers and thunderstorms extending out all the way across the southern part of the country. Showers and thunderstorms in the midwestern area parts of the country, so that's something we also need to look out for. And then we're going to get a little bit too far out for that Day 4 outlook, but as you can see there, we have some severe weather that's going to be on the way for us, and it's going to be ongoing, and that's something we want to look out for. Make sure you have a way to get those alerts and things like that of that nature. Alright, here's a look at the heat risk, and I specifically want to get into areas of the coastal areas, Myrtle Beach down to Charleston, down to Savannah, into Florida. So if you're in these areas, purples on your map, if you're looking at them right now, purples on your map right now, those areas that I circled right there, extreme heated temperatures, something you want to watch out for. If you go into Saturday, we're starting to decrease towards the coastal areas like Myrtle Beach. We still have the major heat to worry about. Orlando, it's starting to disappear. We're keeping that heat. We're really keeping that heat down here in the Tampa Bay region. The heat doesn't look like it's going to leave us in Tampa Bay. In fact, we get that heat that grows into Miami-Dade County. So that's something we want to watch out for. So into the northern section parts of the country, let me just show you that. So Friday into Saturday, and then we go and we start seeing extreme heat in the north. So as the heat disappears, we start seeing in the north. We start seeing it in the central parts of the country, and it doesn't look like we're going to build that Midwest heat, which is a good thing. We don't want to see that heat continue across areas of the United States. That would be a lot of heat for us to deal with. So like I said, you can see it that was moving in windows like this, but that's a bright color to use. But as you can see, we saw it moving into windows like this, but it's now moving away from us. So if you're in areas of Florida, into southern Georgia, the Carolinas, Myrtle Beach, that's something we want to watch out for. Now, I'm going to give you your alerts here from the National Weather Service just to tell you what's going on today, see what watches and warnings we've got going on out there. And here's a look at our National Weather Service alerts. You have those red flag warnings really packing a punch there. I think those are red. Actually, those are extreme heat warnings building in that western parts of the areas. You do have some red flag warnings right there. That's going to be in northeastern California and southern Oregon, western Nevada, and you're also going to have those special weather statements that are in effect, northern Alabama into southern Tennessee. And I talked about those heat advisories are going to get there. I talked about these flood watches rather that is going to be impacting areas of Tennessee into Kentucky, areas of the Midwest, flash flood warnings, as you can see there. Also, we're going to have that heat advisories that are going to be in effect for portions of the country right there, as well as we get into the areas of Florida, almost the whole entire peninsula under those heat advisories. And then as you get closer to the Carolina areas, you're going to be in the extreme heat warnings. As you get more inland, you have those heat advisories. Central Georgia, you're under those heat advisories too. So that's something we need to look out for. In that western part of the country, as I explained before, you have those extreme heat warnings, advisories, heat advisories that are scattered across multiple parts of the country. Heat advisories also into the extreme heat warning, so that's something we need to watch out for. And I believe we have some interesting alert. What alert is that? That is blowing dust advisory in areas of New Mexico. So if you're down there you have the blowing dust advisory. My name is Michael. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to see more weather updates like this, and I'll see you out there in the weather community.